Hello everyone, it's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies YK in the building. How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine.
I love what you're wearing.
Thank you. Adebakari gave me yesterday.
Oh.
Yes, and he said that he's going to do something for everybody for his 30th
year anniversary as a business.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he's going to give everybody...
This is really nice. What you're wearing is really... Does it come with the pants or you...
No, I had the pants.
Oh, okay, so fantastic. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
So...
Anything happening, YK?
Anything happening? No, I'm fighting you and Nyma.
What happened?
And Jumoke. You know why I'm fighting you?
What happened?
You don't know?
Well, lie to lie, I have no idea. Honestly, God is my witness. I have no idea.
Don't worry.
Ordinary birthday, they cannot plan for YK in peace. YK is snooping around like... So she found out that we're on the group. That Uncle Theo and a group of our friends.
Why are you trying to do as if you don't know anything about it?
I was just added on the group.
I'm not on the group. Oh. Me, that has been, I've said that.
But we'll talk about that a bit later. Nyma, how are you doing, Nyma?
I'm fine. Day 3 of the Ramadan fast. Mercy all the way for me. I'm particularly grateful that I'm very reflective this Ramadan. Not busying myself with anybody's work. So your works, I'm doing them, but I'm putting them as last minute work. I'm doing my taking my Ramadan seriously. And my daughter,
she's fasting too, right?
She fasted till 10 a.m.
Oh.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
It's good.
We allow a loose pot of white rice. And,
attracted her. You need to take away temptation.
She just forgot she was fasting and then told me later she would continue.
That's good. At least she's making an effort.
I met someone yesterday who thought that you're very deep. So they like you, girl, that you are very deep.
That's nice. That's a good,
I think it's a
good feedback.
That's a good compliment.
For someone so young.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm grateful to God. So yesterday, I was dished some pepper in our business, our land selling business, and at first, I was dished pepper when life shows you something, you know. So when I received the pepper, at first it peppered me and I was feeling down, and I said, Tope, turn it into pepper soup, you know. So I put it on as a post this morning that when life shows you pepper, turn it into pepper soup. Those that come and eat it will not realize that pepper soup was a result of how life treated you that made you do that. You would become better, but challenges would come. So cheers to those that are going to be making lemonade out of their lemon, making pepper soup out of their pepper. Whatever the situation is, look for the silver lining.
That just reminds me, Morayo, you gave us one pepper last week that somebody gave us.
Yes.
Yes.
That pepper is serious.
It's a pepper.
Oh my
God bless
God.
you for remembering the person's name.
Forward. I put it like this in my kitchen. I've been using it since, and I've been saying
it is.
Oh my goodness! I forgot. I totally forgot to even acknowledge. Thank you so much, Olare Forward Abi. God bless you.
I've used it and it was really
nice.
I use it to make chicken.
I expect it to be
peri chicken.
Mixed one. There's this dirty one they usually just mix when you buy it grind. So you have to buy dry pepper and grind. But this one was
original.
100%.
Thank you for reminding.
Quality.
And when I tasted that, I was like, oh my goodness.
Use it to cook.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Well,
and then the person that the basket, the cute.
We already thanked
my kittens inside.
I mean, no, that basket is too small for you.
We already thanked her on our social media pages, so you can do a video also to thank her. We've done that on our social media. But YK, please, your birthday is a major national issue.
Yes.
It's a national event.
Yes.
And we are going to make it so. Because you are 60.
We're starting the countdown from
and we are doing everything heavenly possible, humanly possible, to make sure to shut down Nigeria, not just Lagos.
YK at 60.
You are not just. I shall add Missy Group.
YK power at 60. No, just come and show up and enjoy yourself.
Yes, don't worry. God will do it. We're calling on the Creator to make it happen for you. Don't worry. Your Creator will show up for you.
It will be so.
Let's go on a break. It's Thursday. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, let's start with the nation. Fayoshe, how Southwest PDP Congress poll was rigged. Obaseki's claim on revenue debt sad and untrue, says federal government. Rainstorm destroys 50 houses in Kwara State. 5.4 trillion naira debt. AMCON seeks special tribunals to try debtors. Lagos predicts 261 days of rainfall. Afe Babalola says, let Supreme Court justices stay for life. All right, which story are we taking? I had the Afe Babalola story.
Let me take
fire ship.
Okay, it's major headline in one paper, so we'll take it.
But which one? Fire ship?
No, my state governor.
Oh, Obaseki. We'll take it in Vanguard.
Please, let me
Fire
then.
ship, okay.
You want to
Why take Fire Ship? We'll take the major headline.
Fire ship is saying that the election was rigged and that he got 330. His candidate got 330. The other one got 343. So and they had all the backing, deputy governors. It was only just him. So one person that got 330 votes. So if it wasn't rigged, can you imagine? Because they all had backing. But the Olatunji has said no, that it wasn't rigged. That as much as they respect the governor, that no, they didn't rig the election. The former governor, I mean.
And his drama will not stop.
Right,
So he had after the elections, even during the elections, Congress elections, praised the leaders of the party, acknowledged his counterparts as leaders of the party, and even commended and applauded the winner as having won.
He said he did it. He said he did it,
They
but
put
that
guns
doesn't
in
mean to say it wasn't rigged. He said he did it because it's the betterment of the party that he's looking for.
You get the point.
So true.
Fayose is a very dramatic person.
Very
we know that.
dramatic.
Okay, let's pick another story in Punch.
Akeredolu.
Akeredolu, yes.
So the nation's Akeredolu's story was, I took the story yesterday, and he's complaining about the fact that there are 4 vehicles with his deputy governor, former deputy governor, and he's going to use, according to his press secretary, they will use all means necessary to take the cars back from, the vehicles back from the deputy governor, saying that if we were to use the right word, he stole those cars.
Simple.
So the deputy governor said,
Former
deputy governor said, I only have 2 vehicles in my custody. One is under repair, and the second one has been taken back to the owners because they didn't pay completely for those vehicles. So he doesn't know where the story is coming from. That was...
And he said that there are statutory benefits to him, so he's keeping them. So that's the back and forth. Let me quickly take the Afe Babalola story.
But remember, he resigned, though. So which benefits?
Which statutory benefits have you? Once you've been a deputy governor.
Once he resigned, maybe because he did not use his
resigned.
term.
Yeah, he didn't complete his term.
Let's move on.
Even if he finished his term, if he had a wicked governor, they will naked him in public.
Did you just say that? Okay, let me take the famous legal icon, Chief Afe Babalola. He was saying, he was actually speaking at the book launch, a virtual book launch for former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Viver. And he was saying, in fact, aside from the fact that he was asking that those on the bench should be there for life, he was saying more critically that for us to solve the problems in Nigeria, we must, very, very simply, and I like the way he just put it, very, very, very simply, he said, to urgently restructure the country, make politics unattractive, cut down on cost of governance, make each state region develop at its own pace, develop their own resources, and provide employment and eradicate poverty. We've been saying it for a long time, but in like one paragraph, he simplified it. Just restructure. Let everybody handle their resources. But he then, more importantly, now said that the bench, those on the bench should be allowed to stay there. In other countries, they allow them to stay to about 80 years old. Till they die. So we should allow our justices to stay to at least 100.
It's not tasteful here. Because even him said it at some point, said mentally alert judicial officers are eased out of the bench. So he's saying that they shouldn't be eased out until as long as they're mentally alert. I would like him to add the health of the officials, because at that age they require a lot of medical maintenance, and they, because of that, always medical vacation, and it's not healthy. I think.
All right, moving on to the Punch. States face cash crunch. Salaries swallow revenues. Federal government seeks more funds. 3 Osun principals suspended over pro-Oduduwa group visit to schools. I'm hopeful Chibok girls will return, says Zulum. 2 killed, 2 injured as trailers collide in Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Lagos expects 261 days rainfall in 2021. FG fortifies security at Abuja, Lagos, and other airports. And Senate alleges 7.6 billion naira secret withdrawal. Summons Ahmed and Attorney General. Okay.
The major headline. So, responding to the governor of Edo State's claim that, the federal government is extremely broke and that they have, started to print extra 50 billion to 60 billion to augment distribution for last month. the Minister for Finance has said that is totally untrue, that the entire amount shared were generally revenue from NNPC, the customs, and one other agency, and that these are facts that could be you know, that are open verified, and that the Nigerian situation is still allowed because we have not borrowed beyond our GDP. And in the same vein, she added that, you know, but what we need to do is increase revenue. So I think we should start borrowing against our revenue, not against our GDP now. I think that will make more sense.
Exactly.
What would make sense?
And then
what the governor said was alluded to by the Accountant General, saying that, you know, we shouldn't continue borrowing. A lot of other you know, senior members of the executive are also saying borrowing is, you know, that the government is over borrowing and that our debt is burying us, in the same report in the Punch. So
and most of the governors are also saying that they are using half of more than 98% of their money on personnel.
And those that sack now, they will be harassed for sacking people.
So what interested me in that article was the fact that many of them are almost echoing what Kaduna State Governor said. He has sacked 4,000 of his civil service. Now, are these governors also considering, this is Gombe, this is Ekiti State. Ekiti said 93%. Gombe says 90% of what they get from a federal allocation goes straight into salaries.
So are they not thinking... That cannot result in development of the state.
Exactly.
It cannot.
And he said only about 1.1% gets this money.
What I want to ask is, these salaries, is it just the civil servants, or is also the House of Assembly? Because those are the ones that will be taking the bulk of the money.
All of them.
Plus the high amount.
So the circle is federal government borrows to pay states. States will pay salaries with it. Then states will borrow money for development. Yes. Everybody is indebted.
Yes. Simple.
Please, let's take the story of Lagos airport being fortified. The federal government has reinforced the level of security in Abuja, Lagos, and Kano, other selected airports across the country. This came from FAN. They confirmed the report on Wednesday that this is to reduce and tackle any form of criminals within the airport's vicinity. Also, they said that the next phase will be in Kaduna, Sokoto, Maiduguri, would also be covered in this development. And then follow up with yesterday's report. You know, we spoke about rainfall yesterday. Now there was a press conference yesterday by the minister, the commissioner, Tuji Bello, breaking down extensively that from the rain has started officially from March in Ikeja, and there will be 261 days of rainfall, all the way till it ends in December. And that on the island is starting from April, and the rain will continue all the way till December. So Lagosians, to get ready for rain, they stipulated even the liters of rain that would fall in different localities. Just
but he said that they should relocate, and I'm asking are they going to provide homes for them?
They already said they are not doing that. Most
where do you relocate to?
He said those of those areas.
Where am I going to relocate? I don't have
according to him, on the show yesterday.
I know. We are not, but
so according to what we had, Joey Bokwe was on the show yesterday, and he was saying that many of those who are at the risk of being flooded are those who are actually living in those high risk areas. They shouldn't have built in those places in the first place.
Illegal structures.
So you're supposed to find higher ground right now.
You have government officials approving buildings.
Exactly, that's a whole
so there's a clash of interest here.
Yeah.
There's a clash of interest. Even Lekki, I know how Lekki gets flooded.
Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll move on to Daily Sun. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to continue now to Daily Sun. External forces plotting to cause war in Southeast, says Umahi. FG mom on Buhari's return date. Udua Nation, Osun distances itself from secession call. Senate in heated debate over food reservation bill. Chibok girls, FG, Bring Back Our Girls, disagree on 7th anniversary. And Afe Babalola proposing 100 years as retirement age for Supreme Court justices. Okay, which story are we taking?
Chibok girls.
Chibok girls, go ahead, please.
So Governor Zulum addressed the 7th anniversary with parents and Bring Back Our Girls campaigners, saying that he believes that the president is very, very sincere about bringing back the girls, that he's also still concerned about the welfare of the remaining girls, and that as a father of girls himself, he just can only imagine what the parents are going through. But the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners are worried that they've lost about 20 parents of these girls due to, protracted illness as a result of the waiting for this long for their children, and that they believe that, you know, the best should be done to bring these girls as much as possible. And it's also worthy of note that the school, the secondary school itself, the Chibok Girls Science Secondary School, has remained locked for over 7 years since the abduction of those girls. I think that we should be, the president should obviously be seen to be...
and in addition to what they're saying in that same article, that the issue is currently domiciled at the Ministry of Women Affairs, that they would like for the Vice President to hand it over, because they only pay attention to it on the commemoration days, and nothing is done throughout the year. So they should please domicile the issue of Chibok girls to the Vice President's office.
It should be, apart from that, Ministry of Defense should be the ones in charge.
They should look to it too.
And when they ask about the president,
oh yes,
the
Minister of Information.
The Minister of Information says, Shebi, you said 2nd week of April. Today is Wednesday. The weekend's on Saturday. Why are you asking questions now?
Okay,
so the president left on the 30th of March 2021 for a 2 weeks health check. He was supposed to be back by the 2nd week of. If you're calculating 2 weeks, he should have already been back. But he now said, the Minister of Information already said that we should wait till the end of the week before we complain.
And of course, monitoring spirit are monitoring and waiting.
We are all asking.
We are all waiting.
He'll be back on Saturday.
There was a story I wanted that caught my attention. I thought you were going to talk about the Odua Nation, but...
is it in there?
Yeah, I was going to... Let me take the story on the National Food Reserve Bill. So there was a heated debate in the House, and they were going to talk about how to put together a food reserve bill to help in times of when there's a national need for food. And then one of the senators said that that issue of agriculture is on the concurrent list, so meaning that the House of Assembly and the National Assembly both have the rights to, and they cannot exclusively argue or debate on it. But there was a back and forth. Others are saying, no, we can debate on it. But eventually Ahmad Lawan then said, no, they have the right to debate on it. And the other senators who have issues with it should go to court to get clarity on who has authority to debate on issue of agriculture.
So Osun State has suspended 3 principals because some people from the Odua Nation went to the schools and were preaching disunity to the kids. And they were saying, look, that Nigeria has to divide, Yoruba people will go their way. So, and the statement is, Nigeria is one entity and will continue to remain so. The state government of Osun never gave consent to any group.
Yes.
You know, so they are just...
It's even funny how the secessionists moved that kind of advocacy to schools.
To schools.
It's like
it doesn't make sense, you know.
The state government have said, listen, we have nothing to do with this, and this is totally illegal. And they suspended those schools. Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. Obaseki lies, says federal government. You guys taking that story? He did not lie, people. He was untrue.
He said untrue in the Punch.
Yes. Okay, 7 years after Chibok girls were recovered, says Zulum. Let's find a story. Mayhem in Gombe as Boko Haram wreaks havoc in Borno. 2021 UTME, email address no longer required at the point of registration, says registrar. Ebubeagu, Southeast governors vow to resist IPOB. Okorocha spent second night with EFCC operatives, speaks on alleged 7.9 billion naira cash. And debt burden, LCCI calls for National Asset Registrar. Okay, which story?
Well, the JAM. So JAM is saying that they've removed the email requirements in registrations and it's due to fraud. They said that they lost about 10 million or 10 billion to operators of JAM registration centers, and that now they will allow, simplify the registration so that students are going to be able to do it on their phone rather than going to registration centers where the operators of those centers are able to hack into their email and then hack into JAM website, even claiming to be staff, then, siphoning monies meant to be for JAM through that. And that's how they lost money, and that they also use that to hack into the emails of students and also defraud students. And that such...
really sad. I was going to talk about the Ebubeagu because Umahi, who is the chairman of the Southeastern Governors Forum, was saying that, listen, there are external forces trying to destabilize the Southeast. He's saying that all the issues they're having is not from IPOB, neither is it from the ESN, or even from the new Ebubeagu, that we should just find a way to resolve issues, that there are certain criminal elements who are trying to destabilize the entire Southeastern states, and the people must not let fall for this, their gimmick and their tactics.
He says it's not ESN and it's not IPOB. So...
And he's also throwing his weight behind the Ebubiagu that, listen, allow this group to be properly formed, and then they will to
So one is legitimate, the other is not. Simple and short. So the authorities should back up, and the people should accept the one that has legal backing.
And Boko Haram struck again.
Why you have that story?
They struck again in Gombe and Borno. What happened was bandits went to the Waja Lugunja communal. This was a communal clash. About 8 people died. Then bandits went in there. Boko Haram bandits went into the villages, killed people, razed their farms, their houses. The ones that UN had built. They
finished everything
to the ground.
Yeah.
And
So, but just in a quick addendum,
they came at night.
The Minister for Information, Muhammad
Alhaji
Lai Mohammed, mentioned during the Chibok address that they've had 18 town hall meetings to resolve the insecurity issues, and that the solutions they came up with was the need for state policing, increasing the personnel and hardware of military, and providing local government autonomy and establishing more grazing areas. So if they already have these solutions from all the 18 town meetings, please, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, when are we going to implement these suggestions? Because more people are dying on a daily basis.
He said, we were asking about president when we have more pressing issues like this.
Okay.
That was how it came up.
Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune, YK. There are plots to incite war in Southeast, says Umahi. We just talked about that. 1.2 million children yet to be immunized in Nigeria, says UNICEF. Johnson vows to sustain strike until 36 states comply with financial autonomy. I will embarrass you if you don't return the government vehicles, Akeredolu says. Police storm forest in search of kidnapped women in Oyo. Buhari APC's Misru calls Twitter to choose Ghana over Nigeria, says PDP. And picture here of a cross-section of women from the US, Argentina, Uruguay, others during their visit to the Palace of Oni of Ife. It was pretty interesting to see them dressed in the cultural attire.
According to the UNICEF, there are about 20 million unimmunized children around the world, and Nigeria is contributing 1.2 million to those 20 million. And according to Mrs. Fola Shade Adebayo, the communication officer of the UNICEF, who discloses in Yoda, that we should now start to, increase the volume around the benefits and those the numbers of those that are not immunized, so that parents will start to remember how important immunization is to children. In the face of this pandemic that we are in, I think...
Okay, we have to move on now to the final paper, The Guardian. Know that story there? Trying to find... Okay. The Guardian, last paper. Avoid reckless money printing to fund deficits, experts warn. Red flags over AstraZeneca, J&J deal. New blow to vaccine drive. Wimby's orders fault composition of newly constituted governing councils of federal universities. And the reps speakers beg governors to grant financial autonomy to judiciary and legislature. So I read those two stories. Wimby's, Ifeanyi Godalo and another of our colleagues have written to the Ministry of Education saying that the recent recomposition of 5 federal universities where their governing council have no women in it. So they reconstituted this to 25 members of the governing council, and none were women.
Across 5 universities, you do not see one woman that would qualify.
University of Ibadan, quite a number of them, and there was no woman. So they were really concerned that this is something that women have demonstrated in various sectors, that they have the capacity to lead, and this is wrong. So they're hoping that the Minister of Education can do another overhaul and get women involved. And then some speakers have also begged, this time around, after all the aggression, they're now appealing to the government. Please allow financial autonomy for the judiciary and legislature, because according to them, it will help in development. And all these issues we are seeing is because many of these legislators they don't have that autonomy, they don't have that control of their resources. So they should please allow them to have that financial autonomy.
I think that many of the governors feel justified in saying that they don't want to give financial autonomy because of the worry of mismanagement. So, but I don't think that we can, that's the best way to solve the problem. That we can get more, we can create more checks and balance, create metrics to verify how the money is being spent, what the money is being spent for, that the they would ensure that the development actually gets to the right people. But this system is not working for us, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all agree. The system generally is not working. We have to change. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. So everybody is saying, and I'd like to reiterate what Afeba Balala said, we need to simply restructure. And if there's any government that is going to push restructuring, that's the government that Nigerians are going to vote for right now.
Yeah, it came out in that national report that Jonathan's government did that time.
Yes.
That conference.
Yes, Confab report. It was clear.
It was there. Like restructuring. They didn't say divide. Just restructure.
Yeah.
And that makes you...
And that was one of the things that this government campaigned on. This government campaigned on restructuring, on state policing, none of which they've been able to do so far.
Stopping it. I mean, that's like a basic, fundamental 5-year-old question. So we all know the answer. Who is stopping the answer from coming? Who are the people in the National Assembly, in the Senate, and who are they that are stopping these laws from changing?
I just think that our politicians,
will.
when they get there, their brain resets.
There are other interests.
They forget everything that they said.
Political class interest takes
Yes, political class interest takes over. You're very correct, Nyma. Let's go on a break. When we come back, it's Thursday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we start talking about our Thursday topics, we have our guests. Last week, the Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture announced new measures and also the state's plan to revive the tourism sector that has been comatose due to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. So on the show today, we have the Lagos State Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Uzamat, Honorable Uzamat Akimbili Yusuf. Welcome to the show, madam. Are you there? Okay, thanks for joining us. The sound is a bit low, but hopefully we can get that fixed. So we know last week you announced some few new measures that your ministry will be handling. Could you just give us an update on what the Ministry of Tourism will be planning for 2021 especially, and how to engage younger people in this sector?
Okay, thank you. Last week, we have the approval of Mr. Governor, Mr. Bajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, to ease down the lockdown on our social activity in Lagos State. And the ease of lockdown does not indicate that we are out of COVID-19 or we are out of pandemic. In other part of the world, there are still third wave and fourth wave going around the world. But we are mindful of the effect on the economic of people in Lagos State. And that is why Mr. Governor has decided that we should ease the lockdown. Not only to have party, but so many other things that is around the social activities like our meeting, exhibition, conferences, and so on and so forth that has been happening. All these are event centers across the city that has been altered because of the pandemic. And that is the reason why Mr. Governor decided to ease the lockdown. But there are guidelines and protocol around this ease of lockdown, which we must adhere to strictly. Because I could remember in last year, November, when immediately we eased the lockdown, everybody believed that COVID-19 is over and parties started in Lagos State to go for a show, seeing different Ankara and Ashwebi everywhere, going from one party to another. And we see the effect after that ease of lockdown before another lockdown on our social activity in Lagos State. So I want to appeal to our people that if you have any social event, please ensure you adhere strictly to all the guidelines that has been, all the protocols that have been put in place for this COVID-19 pandemic. We are working closely with the Safety Commission. You can go around and close down any outlet that refuse to obey this guideline and the lay down rules on COVID-19 pandemic. So I want to appeal to Lagosians at large, wherever you are going, to ensure that your face mask is on with you.
Okay.
It's very, very important.
All right.
So what are the exact guidelines so that we don't break this? Because
the maximum number you can have, no matter the level of occupancy, is 500. Even if you can take over 5,000, you cannot go beyond 500 max. And if your outlet is below 1,000, the maximum you can do is 50% of the total occupancy. You must ensure that you have a running tap in your outlet. You must ensure that you get the clearance of the Ministry of Tourism as well as Safety Commission. If your athlete is not registered with tourism in the Ministry of Tourism, you dare not open until you are being cleared for proper registration. If you try to have any illegality outlet or tourism establishment, we will come after you and we shut you down.
I'm confused because we have like us, we have the what do you call it, from the Safety Commission, but nothing from the Ministry of Tourism. We are registered with the Ministry of Tourism. So do we still have to come and get clearance from Ministry of Tourism?
No, if you register with tourism, Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture, for practice as tourism establishment, you are good. You just need to register one. Okay. But whenever you have an event, you must get clearance because there's going to be a marshal that will be deployed to your event center for that event.
Okay, Ma, please, I want to ask this question. Whenever we come up with policies like this, unscrupulous elements within, and we have them, this is Nigeria, might take advantage of it to create extra hardship for many event centers that have been shut for a long time. Many of these event centers, operators of entertainment centers, have lost almost a year, if not over a year of revenue. And now they're trying to get back into business. They probably don't have funds to settle people. And that might come up when we're trying to get the approval. Can you explain to us the process of getting approval? And have you done the job to ensure that people that work in these ministries know that their assignment is to aid the businesses and not to cause gridlock to extort funds from them?
The beauty of it now is that you need not to even come to ministry to get yourself registered for our own approval. You can go online on our website that will be released in another 1 week. Our website is ready for the public. So you can go on our website and just register. It's a seamless approach as far as the Ministry of Tourism and Culture is concerned. You can go on our website, then you log on to our website and do your registration. The amount, depending on your outlet, they'll give you your bill. The amount is just too ridiculous loose that you don't need to even think twice before you make your payment. It's just a levy, not a tax.
Okay.
Just a show of commitment. So that's all.
What Tope was trying to say was, whether you had measures to curb some corrupt excesses of some of your officials, if there's a need for physical registration.
Come up with, I can't hear you properly.
I hear you. So, do you have any measures put on ground to curb the excesses of your staff or members of your workforce who would be in business of registering people physically?
Yes, definitely we do. We have that in place already.
Okay.
That will check and monitor the staff of the ministry.
So what measures will an agree person?
Only the staff of the ministry. Okay. Some people, by the time they realize government have put in place some measure, they go beyond. Even without, there are people that will be arrested, that they are not member of this ministry at all, that have been going around to collect money from people outside. So I want to implore you, do not give anybody 1 naira hand to hand. Whatever bill we are issuing, you have to pay it to the bank. And it's only people that is trying to cut the corner that will fall into the hand of the fraudster.
Right.
So I want to appeal to the public. Ensure that whenever you are dealing with any member of staff of the ministry, whatever bill they give to you, it is CSA we are using. So we are not meant to exchange naira and kobo.
Okay.
Just
so
go to the bank.
Let me
your bill. And if you have any challenge, you can simply write to me.
Right. Okay, let me be sure that our viewers are very clear. So for those of us who own nightclubs, who own event centers, what the Commissioner for Tourism is telling us that we can actually open, but we must obey the COVID-19 guidelines. So for a nightclub, I know there was one that has been shut down back to back.
Nightclub is not inclusive. Nightclub is not inclusive.
Oh.
Only the event center.
Oh.
Nightclub is not inclusive.
Oh. Thank you for clarifying that. So only event centers, because we are planning to shut down Lagos for YK's birthday. So we're happy that we have approvals for that. But now let's move on. Let's move on to something a bit different, because last year or even before COVID, we heard that there was a partnership with the federal government and Lagos State at the time to revamp the National Theatre. And recently we saw that this young man, the Burna Boy, used these edifices for put it on global stage, pretty much. So what are the efforts of the government to ensure we bring back the National Theatre to life?
Thank you. The issue of National Theatre presently is with the Committee of Bankers, as we all are aware. The first thing they're trying to do is to revamp the National Theatre before it's being handed over for tourism purposes and the creative industry. So presently, they are still in the process of bringing it back to life. But after the Committee of Bankers must have done with their own phase of it, like putting all necessary structure in place, spending huge millions of naira that need to bring it to its the past glory, then it's going to be handed over back to the creative industry. But presently, our own involvement is very, very minimal. Because all the things they are trying to do is just to ensure that they bring it back to its old glory.
All right, let me take this call from a viewer. Good morning, are you there, Bright? Hello, Bright, are you there? Bright, are you?
Yes, good morning.
Hello, Bright, you're live. Go ahead, please.
How are you doing?
Can't hear him. Okay, yes,
I have a question. I wanted to ask you, is the curfew still on?
Hello?
Madam, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes.
listening.
Did you hear YK? YK asked a question. Go ahead, YK.
Is the curfew still on?
No, I can't hear what he's saying, please. Can you please echo back?
I said, is the curfew still on?
She can't hear
The
us.
interview, yes, that is from the federal government.
No, she's saying she said there's the curfew. Curfew, is it still on? I think she's hearing somebody else.
The curfew is still on.
Okay.
It's the federal government that imposed the curfew.
Okay. So the curfew is still on. So if you have events, you have to close by a certain time. Okay. All right.
Yes, it's still. I think it's still 12 to 4 a.m.
Okay.
I will not be mistaken.
All right. We have to wrap up with
12
you.
to 4 a.m.
We have to wrap up with you now. But just finally, your plans for tourism in Lagos State. Just give us in a nutshell what your plans are this year, so that we know what you're doing.
Okay. For tourism this year, what we're planning to do is, number one, to domesticate tourism. We have over 200 million Nigerians. All of us love to travel abroad, but as the case it is now, everywhere is shut down. We cannot go anywhere for our holiday. So Lagos State government is planning with the private sector to have a program, Tag Beauty of Lagos, where people can come and have fun, enjoy, do their shopping, have the new experience that they've never imagined they can have in Nigeria, especially here in Lagos State. So we're having that one we are planning to have it around August this year. We are going to present our master plan. The long overdue master plan of Lagos State will be presented to the public in another few weeks. We are ready. It has been approved already. Then our policy. We cannot draft master plan for tourism without having policy in place that the master plan will be hanging on. So we're going to be commissioning the two. And all the beauty of Lagos, we've been able to put in a 30-minute documentary, and this will be released to the public as well. You can be at your bedroom and see the beauty of Lagos, where Ikorodu is, what are the things they neighbors, what are the cultural activities in Ikorodu. We have that for Lagos, we have that for Epe, and all other divisions of the state. The 5 divisions of the state have been captured. All the tourism sites in all these places inside this documentary, and we have a special clip to promote Lagos as a destination in Africa that everybody needs to visit and see the beauty of Lagos. All these things will be out in another 2-3 weeks. And on our own capital project, we are planning to commission this JK Randu. That will be the Center for Yoruba Art and Culture, the best in Africa. So we should just hang on with Mr. Governor.
Okay.
The tourism and entertainment, which is the 5th pillar of this administration,
Honorable,
there to give us the best of tourism experience. Thank you.
Honorable, you forgot to mention celebration in your whole plans. That's
the private sector.
It's not. It's part of Lagos State support everything now.
We're celebrating an icon.
If I have to be mentioning all our festivals, I will take the old time, because when you're talking of festival, I'm going to have a summit. We just did a summit last 2 months in February 23rd. We did the first summit with the EFTAN, and now we'll be having with AU, we'll be having with ECOWAS, we'll be having different, and December will be above. We pray the pandemic is over 100%. We have so much activities for December.
Thank you very much. We have to let you go.
We have more than that 7 days that we're all aware of.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner, for sharing this with us. We'll keep looking out to make sure that you support us, and we'll support you in any way you want us to. Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we move on to our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So today's Thursday, as you know, and we always like to gist on Thursdays. So we're going a bit softer today, and we're discussing issues of relationship, finding closure. Do you think closure is necessary after a failed relationship or failed marriage? For instance, an apology after a breakup or review of what went wrong during a relationship. And what are your thoughts on this? This is something that ladies were talking and gisting about it, and we just thought, maybe we should bring this to Your View to discuss it, because after a breakup, not just for a lover relationship, but even for marriages where there's both of you move on, is there that need for closure? Recently, there was a post about a man after 10 years, I think, of divorce, they remarried, and that everybody talked about it, and now it was a good love story. But is there always need, even if you don't come back together, is there always that need for closure, especially because people feel emotionally broken and they're not able to move on with their lives and have a happier life? Because the reason why you divorce, the reason why you break up is because you're not happy. And the idea is for you to be able to move on to a happier life. But that happier life is difficult when there's no closure from where you're coming from. So is it necessary? Or do you think, hey, listen, in the interest of all that's at stake, dust it up and just move on?
The question is, what is closure first? From whatever you're dealing with. Because we use the word loosely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't get it. Some people think it's when you're finally thrown a party, you're done and all of that. I think it's a review of what you yourself could have contributed in that relationship that is wrong. Or, what the other person did or what you could have overlooked. Because there's a Yoruba saying, if you know how home is, you probably have stayed back home and made it work. Sometimes you take 2 slaps even instead of 1 to stay back to make things work. So sometimes those things that you can't take, that you so claim that you can't take, are they necessary? Are they really things that you can't take? What is worth fighting for is worth fighting for. So what exactly do you call closure? Is it just have you been able to break something that might have worked and then, claiming you have moved on, or looking through and seeing yourself as, maybe I overreacted, maybe I acted out of proportion, maybe things were not necessarily like that. Reviewing yourself, I think.
What do you think?
I think closure. I was watching one celebrity clinical yesterday, and it was the relationship between Amber Rose and Kanye West, and he left her, but obviously she didn't have closure because she left him because he cheated on her with Kim Kardashian, and then they now got married. When they interviewed her, she now brought out that Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, while they were still together and while she was still with her husband, cheated.
Right.
Yeah. So that shows that she has not had closure.
Yeah.
That is where battle started. I just tuned in and was watching. By the time they finished, she tweeted some tweets like this, that at that point, he went to go and beg at me. Joma. My leak secret, Misita.
So how important then?
Closure closure is important, especially if you offend the other party.
So let's take
marriages. Let's also take the friendship too.
Let's take it local before we go into friendship. Let's take it local in our traditional sense. Even if I don't say it, Yoruba will say "Ori mi aja for me." So there's a part where maybe through Yoruba movies, but culturally, if you hurt someone and move away from that person's life and you hurt the person, even if the person did not say anything, there's this thing that the person's spirit would fight for that person. So because my spirit will fight for me, sometimes when you now go ahead in your relationship, you are never able to achieve what you can achieve because what you left behind and who you left behind, you didn't do it well. So they usually advise that go back and beg the person you left. Go back and apologize. There are stories of someone that made a girl do abortions and left the girl. Like, you met this girl, you said you're going to marry her, you got her pregnant, she did abortion once or twice, and then you abandon the girl, move on, and then you cannot have a child. Then you now hear something like, that girl you abandoned, the girl, her spirit's
too strong.
You're not gone yet. So, and usually when they go back and make peace, they are able to move on and prosper in their life. So it's about the fact that even if you don't take a spiritual approach, there is this, your spirit lives free when you know you are at peace. And sometimes, in most cases, you will know when you are not at peace and you left a relationship. You will know that there's no peace in this relationship. Even in marriage, dating, if there is no peace when you separate and move apart, it would affect you going forward more. And another side is the emotional burden you're carrying. So now, somebody has maltreated you, you moved on from that relationship, you were the one burnt, and you moved on. But you are now coloring that every other relationship with your experience, because you haven't really healed from that one. That closure hasn't happened. So any other person that comes to ask you out, to be like, oh, all men, they are the same. Let me look through his phone. Maybe he's cheating. Maybe you are carrying the baggage from that one because you didn't have closure there. So closure is actually really important.
So that's why that assessment for you is more important than what
talking to the person, Abi.
Doing your assessments. Because, wait now, let's use the abortion story for instance. If you assessed yourself, and so the decisions that you made, even though you thought you were sacrificing, because I was counseling a young girl recently, and she said that the guy she was dating, they had seen future for him that he would not have children. So that if he could marry, if he could disvirgin a virgin, he will break the curse. And so she gave her body. I was just looking at her like, in 2020, is it possible? You know, I was looking at her, I couldn't believe it. But you know, that decision, because at the end of it, I had to tell, even though she was crying rivers, that, madam, you made a decision to turn yourself to lamb. When
as experimental.
I cannot believe
lamb to the slaughter.
Did the guy tell you that? Or he said, she just knew, she just thought, you know, and that is because of her that he was able to move on and have children. I was like, no, no. And please dissuade yourself that mentality that you're a sacrificial lamb. So we make decisions that we know is going to cost us personally and claim that we were doing it in a relationship. Please, always assess it very well. And even if it didn't pay you back, blame yourself.
And move on by yourself.
Move on. Once you accept your faults and you know, is this you're moving on.
Okay, so you're bringing the angle of you can have closure without the other party.
Yes.
Which is important.
Forgive yourself.
Yes. Forgive yourself. And if your partner, if the other party does not acknowledge, you resolve your own part
I was going to ask you this question. What if two people are in a relationship, then one is cheating, and then the other one now lives without closure? Does that one that lives, does she still need closure with the other one? The other one will be offended. You left me, you were cheating on me, because I was cheating, but at least you could have told me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to tell you now.
Just walk away.
But sometimes, the example I gave was
that person need closure.
No,
the example I gave was that if somebody walks away from a relationship that hurts the person, whether it's cheating or abuse or anything, by the time the person walks away, if she doesn't have closure, she would start seeing everybody else in the light of the other person.
Let me try to understand Baike's position. If you cheat on me, I'm making a decision to leave you. I don't need closure. It's my decision. Because I'll move on. I'm happy. I found peace. I've left you. But you will not have closure because you don't know why I left. So you're the one that will be confused. Totally. So until you find peace with why did Morayo leave me, you might not. That's one angle. Now, another angle is man, woman are together. Now, man now finds somebody else, bringing a second wife or whatever it is, and then because the first wife doesn't have children, for example, and then you can bring a second person, and then the first person they didn't have that conversation. The woman feels abandoned. You totally left her alone and went to the second person. Now, this second person, for whatever reason, doesn't have children and have issues. And then they'll not tell you, oh, go and meet the first wife. We'll tell her to forgive you. That's what we're trying to say. Do we need closure to move on? Or can we say, you know what, listen, it doesn't really matter. I mean, should we just dust it off and just move on?
So that you don't, so that you're not a bag of toxic, toxicity. So in life will deal with you some blows. What I do, my own is to assess it, release myself, from that circle and move on. I don't worry about adults. I worry about children. If it's a relationship that involves a younger person or a dependent, I will continue to worry. But once it's an adult, I will find a place to place you, and I forget about it.
Okay, we'll wrap up on this because
we'll wrap up.
We're going to get a few tweets. We're going to wrap up and come on the commercial break. We'll come back. We'll come back to this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're talking about closure. You know, when you watch Hollywood movies, I want to find closure. But like, does that even make sense in the Nigerian space? I mean, do we just move on? Can we find a way to get over issues of emotions? I know we've tried, specialists and experts have told us in recent times that, listen, we must deal with emotional issues the proper way, the professional way. However, when reality strikes, do we really have to find closure, especially in friendships, relationships, and in marriages? These are different areas I'd like us to talk about. Yes,
I have one true story, and this is like very, very like it's here.
Okay,
it's here, and I'll say it the way it is. I didn't ask her permission before saying it, but I'll say it. So you know, like I'm someone that I don't believe in. Like Nyma said, I don't believe you need to talk it out. If you hurt me, I'll rationalize that you didn't mean to hurt me. And I will tell myself, she's a good person. She did not mean to hurt me. Let's move on. So, BC is my very good friend from way back. And I found out in our WhatsApp group that BC bought a new house. Like, it was inside the WhatsApp I found out. I was shocked. And I felt bad because I'm like, we're not on that level now. So you won't buy a house. I'm not going to say you won't buy a house. Like you, that if I want to, anything I want to do, you would know about it. Like it didn't, I did not like the, it made me feel like we're not, maybe I should reevaluate where this our friendship is. And I did what Nyma said, which is just deal with yourself. Tope, don't feel bad about it. She just showed you where you are in friendship. Love her for who she is. She's nice. Move on. And subconsciously, I became a bit cold, but I was still smiling, playing. She said, what is wrong? I said, nothing is wrong. It's fine. I did not say anything. I was just moving on. Then one day, she came back and held me and said, what is wrong? You are behaving funny. And it was a one-on-one, like, what happened? Why are you behaving like this? I'm not behaving anyway. So did I do anything? So when I said, well, actually, like a few months back, there was one thing that you did. He said, what is it? I said, when you bought your house, I found out inside WhatsApp group, and I'm like, you and I were not on that level. She said, are you serious? Like, you did not? I said, I did not know. He did not brush my ear. I did not. She said, because she was telling everybody in the makeup room, they were discussing search with Nyma, that she assumed that everybody on the show knew that she was in the process of acquiring a house. But having that conversation, it was scary. We hugged. Brought closure and brought the friendship back, you know. So sometimes, and I had to use it because this is between two friends, it's not husband and wife. But sometimes you just need to have that conversation, and you might be assuming wrongly what the person was doing, and the person too is assuming wrongly. Why is this person behaving funny? Until you have that conversation before you realize the true facts of the matter, and then you resolve the issue. It was a major lesson for me in talking things out. And
fantastic.
Since we're talking friends, my best friend, I'm always saying it on the show, blessing. When she had
you
to
have plenty best friends. Which one? Please.
All my friends are
Blessing. Okay, Blessing.
So Blessing with Elizabeth. So when
which one is it now? Blessing or Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, both are her names. So I
Only
call her
So today is Blessing. Okay.
She moved to the UK, and at the time when she was moving, when she got her job, it was me and her. When she did this, in fact, I remember the day her father passed, and she just called. I ran there. You know, that's the kind of friendship. She was coming back to the Nyma. So when she moved, everybody was just reacting. We don't know. She not tell us anything. People were bottling up. And I was just happy. Because my own is that maybe the process of getting that movement approved, because she needed a worker's permit and she wanted to start a career in the UK. You know, it was something that she needed to just deal with it on her
Personally,
own. So
right.
for me, I was just happy, plain and simple happy. So she saw the feedback around everybody and just decided that this is my only friend at the end of the day. Because really, I was just saying to myself, make an excuse.
Yeah.
There must be a reason why she could. Maybe we never really had the time to hang out, so she couldn't have even told me.
Let me pause you for a second, Nyma. This guy's been holding for a while. David, are you there? Hello, David. You're live. Please go ahead.
Hey, sorry, David.
Hello, David. Are you there? Okay. So we lost that call. So we're taking this now to conversation
for your friends. Sometimes, it makes it easier. And then later, you might just see the picture, because immediately she got settled, I was the first person she called, and she was saying, tell mommy she should continue praying for me, And the same like that happened among another friend like that. And so whenever they visit the country, and they're not able to stop by Lagos,
and
I'm still fine.
This always happens amongst women a lot, because when we have fights, we just have a fight with your girlfriend, and there is no proper closure. We just rather, let me just leave. Let me just move to China. Let me just move to Singapore. Then I'll just go our separate ways and assume that nothing happens. But sometimes, maybe the conversation we're having now is that, listen, I have quite a number of closures. Yeah. But I mean, some are still pending. But I mean, I've had a few closures. But I'd like us to take some few things. I'm trying to remember the closure I want to talk about.
But you see, because you know why sometimes the closure might not happen the way you want it to when you want it to. And there are sometimes that one party is ready for the closure and the second party is not ready. Like, you are ready, you want to have that conversation, and the other person is saying, I'm not. So we should give it time and do the work that you can do by yourself, which is forgive yourself in the relationship, whether marriage or whatever happened. Forgive yourself in or friendship.
All right, let me take this call. Then Good morning. Are you there? What's going on? Phone lines today are a bit. Yes, go ahead, Nyma.
Vicky Labo says, closure is the best in any relationship that has reached its dead end. If we force it, the outcome may not be palatable, so the best bet is to move on in peace. Bilkis Mafe says, healing takes time. Some people hurt for long, depending on the level of betrayal. Let's put it in mind that our threshold to emotional resilience differs. Someone like me, I forgive easily, but I don't heal easily. I replay everything in my head for a while before I finally let go. This one,
Raphael says, I support Nyma. I review my contribution in the collapsed relationship and place my ex where she should belong. No closure after collapsed relationship for me. I had a recent experience about this topic.
Let's talk about polygamous families, because when the bond that unites you passes on, many people just go their separate ways, and siblings then just move on. But there are issues that are unresolved. Now, we talked about it last week when we talked about sibling rivalry and all that. There are always unresolved issues. And people just say it's best to just go your separate ways and leave them like that for life. Now, generations come and we find out that, I'm cousins to this person, I'm cousins to that person, because our siblings in the past refused to have closure, come together to resolve it and move on. So how critical is closure, especially in building sustainable relationships?
You see, before closure comes transparency.
Thank you.
Because like in Tope's story, if you felt she wasn't transparent, you are going to
bottle it up.
Yes.
Unconsciously said, you even know.
You will not, because it happened to me recently in a relationship I have with someone, and I find it difficult to
be warm.
And we have a very close relationship. So, I know that I will have to close it. If I do not say, look, madam, this is what you did, I will not be able to move on with that relationship. So I think transparency.
There's also the part of time for that talk. So you might be willing, but the other party is enjoying the whatever. Because I have a relationship and it's family based, and they called the meeting sometimes and said, okay, you're older, you have to take a first step. And I reviewed the relationship. I was like, it's here I was sitting down, minding my own business, and I was called so and so by this person. I need her to give me basis. If she cannot give me grounds for why she could reach such a conclusion, I'm not taking any step. Because any step I take, she would colorate it again. in her, you know, and give me money. So I'm not going to take any step. I'm fine where I am. I think for me, it was just to reduce further animosity. And it's going to cost us, the way I see it, is costing us a lot. But I am not willing to further sacrifice anything for that relationship because it wasn't given any grounds to start.
So there's the ego side as well. I know we're going to go about ego, but a lot of times closure doesn't happen because one person has ego pride. I'm not going to have this conversation because I have a bit of, I don't want to be the one that will be seen to putting myself down, which is why for polygamous setting, the oldest person, that's why you always have this, what they call Baba, Olori Ebi. The Olori Ebi's responsibility is to consolidate. It is very important to bring everybody together and say, this family, we all have blood.
What if the Olori Ebi can't?
So anybody that is anybody that can take that responsibility, the oldest person is the one that can galvanize people together because they respect the age.
What if the Olori Ebi can't? I'm talking because I'm an Olori Ebi.
Yes,
in my family.
You have the power to bring everybody together.
I can bring everybody together, but I cannot force them to be friends.
Oh yeah,
but you
can start the relationship.
Create that
environment.
I'm telling you, when you have two people who are saying adamant, no, we don't want to settle. What do? You turn yourself to
for the transparency.
Because they're not going to answer you.
But why can you make the attempt?
Yes, definitely make the attempt.
All Olori
but I'm
should
saying
make the attempt to bring the family together. Because if there's anything we're learning from this closure topic is that when we let things fester for a long time, we cannot get the best of each other. And everybody needs
each other.
We need each other. So people should bring, even if it is virtual Zoom meeting, a Zoom healing meeting, bring a life, everybody let's talk. How can we make this family one? How can we do something substantial? Especially for those that have legacy. Because one of the things I feel I don't think I'm in the right place to have this conversation because I'm from a single family unit. But I look at the Abiola legacy and I'm like, it is a case of if we are all the family have won this strong united bond, we would have a stronger Abiola legacy, like the way we have with celebration. It took a lot to have everybody celebrating one person, and we have iconic people like that who've passed on, but they've been unable to get all the children together to say we want to make this momentous, we want to make this thing happen in celebration of this iconic man that passed on.
So would you blame the iconic man
for not uniting the family before he left?
Yes, most times.
Because they have a responsibility to making sure that the family is united before they go.
Work before they go.
Yeah,
So
I understand.
I remember my father had been put on our siblings group by my elder sister, and I said to him, I said, you're not my sibling, Daddy. Get out of that group. And he was like, eh? He felt betrayed. I just called him. I said, you're not my sibling. I had the conversation. My sister was like, no, he's our father and he'll be on the group. I said, but we discussed him on this group. The moment he's on this group, no more talking. So she insisted. I said, no, I had to call him. And then after a few hours, he stepped out of the group and then said to me, I've left the group. I don't want you people fighting. You know, I can never forget that moment because it was a few months after that he passed. I don't want you people fighting. I'm not in your siblings group again, madam. You know, sometimes it is you, the patriarch or matriarch of a family, who must make that step.
But shouldn't we
make sure that your children
that there are some relationships that should just move on? You don't need to. So I hear you that we should find closure is great, but I have been in relationships in the past where I say, you know what? I mean, I understand, I respect who you are, but I just want to leave this. I'm just done. I don't want to have a conversation about it. I'm just done. I just move on.
Depending
on how that person takes it.
Yes.
That's spirituality thing.
Depending on how if that person doesn't take it
the way you're taking it,
the spirit will not release you.
And for a long time, the person might find closure eventually, but for a long time, he or she will do things to, just be like a troll.
The person will misinterpret it because the person, you see, the thing is, the person's brain, spirit will
feeling agreed.
Yes, the person will feel agreed.
Based on that spirituality.
Yes, you cannot break up with me without telling me now.
Especially when the picture is not exactly clear.
I remember there was this guy. I had a long relationship. I thought we were going to get married. And then one day he now comes and says, no, that this relationship is getting too serious. Next step from here is marriage. Oh, the cry I cried. I cried. Oh,
he didn't want to marry. What?
He said he wasn't ready to marry and our relationship was getting too serious and kiniko. I cried so much. I fell ill. I was brokenhearted. But what happened, it was it made me a very hard woman.
You never let that.
I was mean. Come my way like this, you are just
Play with you.
By the time you leave, your head will be knocking. But that's because that one I did not have closure. And he came back into my life some years later. Oh, I showed him. That's how mean I was. I showed him hell. That he went with his tail between his legs, you know.
Wow.
And it's because I didn't have closure.
Did you not feel
It's
better because you were able to do your own?
Yes.
That was
It's
your
doing your own back
That revenge was what I needed to move on.
But closure would have been that you're able to table the issues. So
Both
sometimes
of you
amongst
leave.
friends, that conversation that you are moving on from, some conversations must happen.
But in that case,
Yes, because you might put clearer pictures of some reaction.
in that case, in that kind of situation, the man doesn't want to do it again. Is it by
you
force?
cannot force him.
Let's take a few
You
calls.
cannot
I mean,
force-
and
Which
let's
kind
take
of
a few tweets.
so
Yes,
John
Adebayo.
matters you want to
Let's
have
take a few
again?
tweets.
Mr. Adebayo says, pride and ego are those things that do not make us to do a closure. Some people do not want to own their errors. Say sorry to the other party and let things die. On the other hand, it can be too risky to do as well. He also said, closure may come natural or be prompted by the individual. Time is the judge for any closure. It's best to move on and have an open mind to accommodate anything that comes your way. Some closures are too hard to take. That answers your question. Sometimes you just leave it.
Just
You
leave
just
it.
leave it.
Miss Chi says, wisdom comes with age. I'm so loving YK. Transparency comes before closure. Temitope Ajibade says, closure is very important because the former would always affect the latter in relationship. Bilkis Mafe says, I feel deeply hurt and betrayed because, she was saying it has to be a trend. What do you call it? So she says, you remind me of my closest high school friend who I shared most intimate matters with, but who only informed me after her first flight that had landed in Europe to connect the other one going to Canada. I was shocked and nearly cried that day. She just apologized. I felt deeply hurt and betrayed because in this case, it appeared her marriage came in between us. My own marriage didn't come between us, sharing intimate matters. We don't talk till date. It hurts because I didn't expect it from her. Life happens, lessons learned. So
We have to wrap up on this, but when we come back, we're going to move on to the issue of ego. But it's still similar because the truth is that these are the emotions that people deal with and that causes the behavior we see is as a result of these hidden issues that we don't deal with. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're discussing having conversations, dealing with egos. Have you ever been in an issue in a situation where your ego did not allow you to resolve certain issues? We still like to hear from our viewers. Our phone lines are still 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your VTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, so, we're still discussing friendships, marriages, and even relationships. We're discussing being in a situation where you simply just want to move on without addressing the issue at hand. And it has almost become a cultural thing. You know, we don't like to talk about issues. And we're a show where we like to have conversations. Let's thrash out issues. And why it's so difficult? What is that ego? Why is ego such a major issue in stopping people from opening up their deepest issues that are happening with them?
I cannot give you ammunition against me. That's one. If I tell you how I feel or I express myself, I'm giving you an ammunition that you can use against me in future. That's number two.
That's ego now.
I cannot let you hear me. Only you hear me bang. As in, I'll go and tell her, what you did hurts me. Let's now give me a reaction. I'm making myself vulnerable to you. I don't want you to. I don't want to be put in a position where I feel vulnerable. I don't want to leak my weaknesses to you. So that's on one side. The other side is I don't want to be embarrassed. And some people, they can just give it to you like that, and my pride will not take it. So
my own ego, I throw my ego away in most relationships. I try not to, because I think ego, too much of an ego destroys who you are as a person.
Are you sure it's not because of your age, though? Maybe when you were younger, juxtaposed with now as you got older?
It could be. It could be. Because I remember in secondary school, when we are fighting, two people are fighting. Who will talk to who first? Nobody. Until they will call you. Then you sit down like this. They say, "Yeah, shake."
My children do it all the time.
You know.
I think
so. I
age.
guess you are right. With age, it can. Yeah.
But in marriages, me, I cannot fight. No. I remember the last fight I had with my husband, and he was saying to me, after a while, I was just minding my own business, thinking, whenever you're ready. And when he came and he was like, trying to apologize, I said, wait, before you apologize, me, I'm sorry. Me, I cannot fight. I cannot even fight with you, because in some relationships, when you think you're throwing the arrows, you are actually shooting yourself. The pain you want to cause that person that your ego is putting you in, you start to lose so much. I always assess what I will lose. You know, if you're in love, and you move on faster than carrying issues and sleeping over with quarrels. And it's the same thing for me with my friends.
So,
if you approach me immediately, the matter is,
let's connect this to forgiveness. You know, how do you forgive genuinely? Forgive and let go. People hurt each other, you know, and I don't want us to just talk about this stuff and not have some kind of a conclusion to this conversation. Yes, you're hurt. You want closure. Your ego is in the way. But where does forgiveness come in? How do we say, I am sorry? Why are people finding it difficult to apologize when they hurt, or even ask for an apology? You demand an apology. Somebody hurts you. You say, listen, what you did to me, A, B, C, D, I demand an apology. And as I said before, you've not addressed the point I made earlier. Are there situations where we just say, I just don't want to live and I'll still live a happy life?
If I steal your money,
yes,
and I know I go and build house with the money, then you are suffering. Will apology do it for you?
Restitution night, return the money.
Yeah, what if you can't afford to restitute the person?
I've spent it now.
Restitution.
I don't build house. I don't share everything.
I'm not saying sorry.
So will I come and say I'm sorry? Will you hear my own?
I don't know.
So, if you steal my money,
no, but why I said the whole picture. So let's just assume I stole your money, and I actually had a pressing need. Your money was, they say, the money. I've forgotten that you wrap up. That kind of thing. So you had a pressing issue and a need, and you spent that money. You actually cannot refund the money. But if you opened up the honest reason why you had to spend
That's
it,
not the one we're saying.
No, you might be
we're
sympathetic.
The one of corrupt staff.
Wait.
Built house from business.
We're talking valuable relationship.
build house
from the business.
From the business, house that I cannot build.
You now stole the
Bought
money.
car, everything that I could not buy.
That kind of situation where you just say, you know what,
I've left him to the hands of God. I don't even look for him.
Because I find that when you confront people like that, you're fighting your own battles.
Yeah.
You let God fight that, but I just move on.
That's why I've left him. But now, tell me the truth. If that person now comes back into my life
I'm begged forgive
and starts kneeling down, Joy, forgive me. Do you think I should forgive that person?
You forgive.
No, you forgive, but you will not bring the person back into your
like
life.
it can never work for me again.
Okay, you forgive because time has passed. And
I would say,
No,
but you forgive, but malo.
So for me, forgiveness has to be to a large extent upfront. You know, there are people that are in your life that you know that there's nothing they can do that you will not forgive them because of the level of closeness and the level of kindness they've displayed towards you. Some people have loved you and they have shown who they are, and because we're all human beings, we're not perfect. We all have our weak areas. You just know something happened recently, and I was giving my husband the gist. And my husband was like, this person again. I said, well, the truth is, we'll discuss the issue, but we've already forgiven. Because you can forgive somebody up front. Like, there's nothing my husband would do. I'm forgiven already. Like, I'll just say, apologize. But you should apologize for this thing. This thing you did. So, your forgiveness is a gift you give. If somebody now deliberately tramples on that trust over and over again, you can now choose that I'm not a fool. I will not put myself in a situation where I'm taken for granted and I'm vulnerable. So you move away. But forgiveness is something you give, not for the person, but for yourself. So I when you apologize, I choose to forgive you. Sometimes before you even apologize, I've already forgiven you.
Forgiveness is a gift. I like that.
In polygamous families, like you mentioned, sometimes you give for the greater good. So you look at the general bond of that family. You look at, I always say what you stand to lose. I cannot sacrifice my blood over any small matter.
I think I can say I can forgive you, but I will never forget, so that I'm not ever put in that kind of situation again. I can, and then I always say to you, it's not me to forgive you, it's God to forgive you. Who am I? I'm a human being like you. So, let's forget about it. But I will not forget what you did.
I want us to go back to what Waike said earlier. Transparency before closure. And I think that's very crucial. Are we being transparent? So you want me to forgive you, but have you opened up to the issues? Because Nigeria just say, but now, yeah, just for one, you know, just forget and accept the issue and just move on. But no. So with transparency, and I think that is, I like us to end this conversation with that. So if there's a polygamous situation, and I feel you are the first wife, I'm the second wife, and we have issues. These are our children, and they are not talking to each other because of the issues we have. Can you and I come together, open up the issues? Okay, this is what you did. You came to my husband. You did this to me. You took my husband. You your second wife. You did this to me. You did that one. You know, let us talk in our children. After we resolve it,
then we bring the children.
We bring in the children. You know, that is what's saying. So you have to be transparent on the issue. Open up on the issue. Don't just continue to cover.
Would come with personal review. If you, as a person, review yourself and you know that, when I wanted to marry this man, I knew that madam was in the house. I sued the woman. And you agree that you sued the wale. You first of all respect the person. You know, you go to her and say, I acknowledge you.
We are bringing up the issue.
No. That's how you when you have reviewed yourself, you acknowledge that this person truly didn't deserve.
Okay, yes,
you know? So when you now want
accepting
to have
your
the conversation,
fault,
it doesn't tarry for long. It doesn't go on. You people arguing and you say it's not me, it's me. When everybody knows their fault and they finally come together to have a conversation, there's a smoother conversation. So if you're Sudi Wale and you agree, you admit, okay, this is what I did, and I accept that if it was done to me, I won't take it. I am wrong. So you know, at that point, the conversation is possible.
Exactly.
But if the person who felt aggrieved had to call you to now be reminding you, you might start to feel slighted because you yourself have not reviewed yourself. And so everybody must continue to mature up. In relationships, when you stand to lose so much, especially when in a situation like a polygamous one, your children don't see eye to eye. At the end of the day, you people die creating walls that, you know, they're too high for your children to ever cross.
Exactly.
And the bond of kinship in my religion is so tight that it's beyond every other thing. The ties of it's beyond every other thing. It's beyond whatever you have. If when you have money, you have everything. You're broke when it's going to affect your people around you. It must be something that can bring the better good.
Yes, Waike.
I remember when I was in England one year with my mom, and then one of my father's wives came to the house. She'd made a new life. She's living in England. She has a son. And then she came to the house. She said she wanted to see my mom. And she came with this big gift. She said, okay, why are you doing this? She says, I'm coming to beg your mom for forgiveness. Only now that I'm a mature woman, I now know how she must have been suffering when all of us were in your father's life and pushed her out. So please.
Wow.
That woman had spoken to herself deeply.
Wow, I'm getting the chills. Like,
and she just came with this gift, and she knelt down to my mom, forgive me.
Oh wow.
You know, how many this thing you've said can actually open up a lot of homes now, can help a lot of homes. Because there are lots of second wife, third wife, fourth wives that are there right now.
That they know that
they know that your entrance into that home have totally destroyed the emotions and the person of the first or second wife. So you come, if you humble yourself, as you say, you think deeply and go to your yale and say, listen, yes, I came into your life, XYZ happened, but forgive me, and I want us to amend ways.
Even in friendships.
To help the children.
Even in friendships, contracts. You people started a business together, and then somebody rides on with that business. The other person comes back and apologizes that I know we had this idea together. And I've had that happen in my husband's relationship, that we started this idea together, and I'm sorry that I took it away from us. And right now it's very successful, and I know that I can only attribute it to our relationship. And I'm we must begin to think and own up. It's a really huge sense of maturity, and it would build a lot of people. Even in marriages, sometimes we don't have that transparent conversations with our spouses. we just expect that you should know what you should do. You should know that it hurts me. The person might not know. And if you have hurt the necessary, you can see that my relationship is deteriorating. There's bitterness in this our marriage. Apologize to your partner that I know I did something. This cheating I cheated years back, I know that it still hurts you.
Us.
And let me just apologize again and let you know I respect you.
But those apologies, sorry.
I wanted to talk about your circle of friends. So, you might have your own new friends who are saying, you don't actually need that your old friend. Who is she again? What did she ever do for you? You know, and you know. So there was a time, a friend of mine, she's in a big family setting, and she had issues with her mother-in-law. And we were all there. The mother-in-law had organized a prayer for her husband who was away. And she felt raw. They called prayer for him. They did not invite me. I should be seated. It should be me who called a prayer. And before I knew it, she called me and said, I'm having a prayer for my husband. Only together, I didn't see her husband's family members and all of them. I was like, how would you do this kind of a thing? She said, maybe they've done their own, I'm doing my own. I said, you're flexing ego that you don't need, you know? So fortunately for us, as we're still seated, her father-in-law walks in. And I said to her, you are lucky, what you have just seen. So when the man saw that we're done, he left. As he was about to leave, she sat down and said, lie.
Go and apologize.
Lie. Get up. All of us will follow you. Since you don't have shame, don't shame me. We will follow you to follow your father-in-law back home. Whatever the insult they give us, then we will take it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, and she was still lagging behind. Before I forced her, we carried the food and we went together. What I didn't want her to think is that it was okay
for her to do that.
And I'm not going to be a lying friend.
Right. Let's just take a few tweets. YK, you have any tweets there?
247 Nigeria says, no closure without repentance.
Yeah.
A famous celebrity blogger betrayed my trust and she prefers to live in denial. She's still owing me money. So she is saying that unless you really repent, and you see that's where I was going to come, that apology. There is apology of mouth and there's apology of heart. If you don't believe it in your heart, if you just come, it's just face value apology. Ma binu, and everybody will come, ma binu. But inside you are still that same person. Ah, man. You know, it's going to cause even worse, you know, an even worse situation. So, sorry, let me go.
Yes. For my peace sake, I shove my ego aside and talk. Of course, there are times when I can move on without saying a word. I take it with maturity. Ogunmola Emmanuel says, every relationship is a mind game. Whoever knows how to manipulate, the more controls it. Knowing your partner is very important. If they say sorry or do things, they mean it. Vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. You can be firm and decisive and vulnerable at the same time. Bilikis Mafe says, I'm that way too, ma. Forgiving but never forgetting. That's talking to YK. I never forget what or who hurts me, but I would forgive for the sake of inner peace. I hate toxicity.
Oguma, did you read this one? Closure in your relationship is vital and shouldn't go beyond conversations. If your partner knows that you say what you mean and mean what you say, every utterance carries clear meaning.
Right.
Let them know your stand and avoid mixed signals.
Let me take a call. Biodun, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Biodun, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. At times, saying sorry only doesn't solve all the matters. All I feel is the person just have to try as much as possible to keep up with what they have been doing. Because I just want to give you a scenario of me, myself. I have a brother and I have a younger sister. My elder brother, I got to know when I was 21 years old that my elder brother it was not my mother that gave birth to my elder brother. So, and how did I know? It was when my brother wanted to get married. And my mother was just like, John to your law, I'm sorry for saying you're saying John to your law, Master, I was out saying you present and just wait in my hour. So I got my mom back in my dad. That was the only thing my mother said then. And just because of my mother was said that word, my brother started behaving somehow. That was when I had to know that it was not my mother that gave birth to my brother. And everything started just like that, and our happy family started becoming a family that everybody can talk to each other again. And his mother, when my mother was telling us, he said his mother died when they wanted to give birth to him. That she was the one, they begged her to marry my father. That since then, she has been taking care of him since when he was giving birth. She started taking care of him when he was 3 years old. And till now, fine, he's working in a media house, he's okay, he's fine, and all he does come back at times. He disgraced my mother on his wedding day because he was like, they should please pray for his dead mother. And everybody's eyes was just on my mother's eyes that, is this mother dead? So all those kind of things, he comes times down number, start begging. But not just begging, the begging does not just work.
Right.
What he does do most of the time is, how did you work towards what you have done? Because when he gave birth, he went to go and call the family of his mother that he has not even seen for over 35 years. And my mother was just there like, why will you be doing all sorts of things like that? He came back again begging. He came home again. He promised he was going to pay for my school fees, pay for my sister's school fees. He ended up not paying. And he didn't do anything. My mother was vowing that she was the one that paid for his school fees with my father since when he was in primary school.
Right.
Even when he repeated this, my mother was just saying a lot of things. But I'm just so curious that, fine, why my mother can go through all these things and do all these things, all he just have to do is come, beg, and feels everything is okay. All my mother was just after is that, how can you do something to, what will you do? It's not just sorry, act towards the sorry that you are doing. That will make her feel that, fine, you are really sorry for what you are doing. So
Thank you very much, Biodun, for sharing your story.
That story is painful.
That's deep.
It is. The mom had raised her stepson, before she had her own children. And at the point when he wanted to marry, she asked him not to marry from a certain tribe. And that caused chaos amongst the children and the family. And in the course of argument, he found out, her own first child now found out that she didn't give birth to him. But growing up, she didn't raise them separately. They were all brought up together. So he never knew. But in the course of that argument, he found out that he wasn't his, biological. He's not his maternal brother. So, and because of that, he left, and even at his wedding, he sort of talked about his late mom who never raised him and, disregarded the woman who raised him. And in this story, what I see, because the mother's family members sat at that wedding, and they had the wedding. Somebody raised that child. Please, let's just be honest. There was a time myself and you were talking, I was saying that when somebody is senior, she is. When somebody makes certain sacrifices, let's not, because life will come back. This spirituality thing Tope talks about, it will come back to you. Don't come and displace a person's light just because you want to shine. Don't turn off somebody's switch because you want your own generator to be louder. It will never pay you. It will never work. At that wedding, the late mother's family members who sat down, they should know the person who fed him, who didn't poison him.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Because she
who
was noble.
The honor of that day.
She did
What
a
will you
noble
gain?
thing by bringing up that child.
Right.
As her own.
him.
Yeah.
There's this
Mike, I'll come to your
twist
tweet.
I
Let me
want
take
to
Yemi first. Yemi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
All right. Yeah. You know what? Closure is actually much more easier when the other party who has offended you actually decide to show repentance. It's much more easier to actually reach that closure when the other partner that offended you has shown repentance. Okay, I'm really sorry. I've done this wrong, and I want you to actually forgive me. Then closure is easier. But when the other party is not repentance or is just playing lip service to say I'm sorry, it's much more deeper. And when deep inside that this person is just the lip service, is not truly repentance, then closure is much more difficult.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, very well.
I wanted to take Shegun's tweet. He says today's show is deep and I am healing right now from a betrayal and I can't wait to be in Nigeria to speak with the offenders. Well done, ladies. I just wanted to take it because this is more like a healing show. It's just like showing us where we are.
How vulnerable we all are. All of us are. We all have issues.
All of us. Every day, every single day, as long as we meet with people. But in life, there are certain truths that are universal. There are certain truths that you cannot come into a family. There's a first wife. And to honor her on the day of the wedding of your child is problem for you. I know someone who said to the first wife, after the husband went broke, that, okay, every other thing that you own, that you think is your own, is family owned. All of our children will share it. Auntie, where are you coming from? You understand? You did not know her struggles. It is knowing, I always say, knowing your place, finding out and telling yourself some truths that are just universal.
Yeah.
I didn't work for it. I cannot be fighting for it. I cannot come and destabilize this home to fight for something I did not put the foundation or sow any seed for. And that way, if the first wife in her magnanimity thinks that, no, I cannot displace you or your children, you are my husband's children, you allow that peace to happen. But when you are fighting for the things that you were not there, you did not know anything, Ojukokoro is disturbing your family, you are disturbing yourself, you are destroying homes. If you come into a place and there's a war, there's no peace, it is your place to always make peace. You can be moving around with your light, and your light will spread on people.
Exactly.
And you can come with your wahala, and you will destroy an entire family. But you should be able to admit it.
Why don't we place importance on having conversations? That's one of the reasons why we started this show, because people must be seen to have different views.
Uncomfortable conversations.
Different people must have conversations that we don't like. You must have a view that I don't like, but I will accept your view. I disagree. I agree to disagree with your own point of view. And that's the same thing when it comes to family and friendships. Let us come together. I don't agree with you, but fine. That is my own view, and I will respect that. As basic as it is, it's so difficult for many families to be able to face that reality.
I usually find myself at the receiving end of many of these misunderstanding-ish kind of conversation. There was one display that happened. That was with Amy and Mariam. That's on her dress that day. And Mariam was like, have you spoken to her? I said, I've resolved with her. And the issue was, I just made a statement. But for her, she took it as, you are attacking. Why would you be attacking my person? And I'm like, I would never do that. But she took it that way. So the onus was on me to convince her that wasn't my intention. Sometimes we will be... sometimes you can feel like, I bet she's just overreacting. No, you need to ensure that the person that is hurt, you must find a way to let the person understand that and communicate it. Apologize when necessary, but deal with the relationship. Have that conversation. Right. Be sure that what you said is what they heard.
Like in the case of this
let me take Sam. Sam has been holding for Abuja. Are you there, Sam?
Yes, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please. Morning.
Yeah. Straight to I really want advice from her. If when you have a wife at home and your wife, she's not straightforward to you. It was today, you have an issue today, tomorrow you settle, next tomorrow you have an issue. Please, what can you do to that?
If you have a wife
the first case is this: you people have got married for a very long time and there is no issue, and along the line, one day she lies to you that she's pregnant, and when you confirm, you see that she's lying and she's not pregnant. And after that, people she apologized, blah, 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 because of the family issue. I tried to just cover up, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, you now say that this person is lying. And she now apologized, and you now accept. And at the end of the day, she continues to lie to you. In such a relationship, what can you do? Are you to continue managing her, or you have to quit?
Mr. Sam, we are all managing each other. I think when it comes to marriage, she said the wife is not transparent, the wife lies a lot. I don't think it was like that in the beginning, according to what he was saying. It wasn't like that in the beginning, but he realized that the wife even said she was pregnant. They found that she wasn't pregnant. She apologized. There are lies.
The Bible says when the foundation is destroyed, there's something happened.
Yes.
Something has happened that's fundamental in that relationship that is not right. And that's what's causing these lies.
So but when you say, I would like that you're managing her, the statement was, we all manage each other. I'm sure if you ask her, you've also done something she's managing, she's doing something you're managing.
We haven't heard her own side of the story, but in his own case, he is saying the basis of that marriage has been broken. The truth. Yeah. Because the truth is, there is so much importance in truth in life.
And she's been deceitful since.
If she has been deceitful since, I don't think there can be any...
You can move forward on deceit.
But I think...
How are you sure that person not going to continue?
You know what we said was that each person must acknowledge their own wrong. Yeah. So if she's able to acknowledge her wrong and apologize once, then have a... We don't value professional counseling. We don't value professional counseling.
I think two principles. Know yourself. Number two, don't know what you won't take. So what you won't take, you won't do to the other person.
Yeah.
If you have a man struggling to build a home with you, he's sincere with you, he's sacrificing and all of that, put yourself in his place. If you were doing the same and somebody was treating you the way you were treating him, would you like it?
Exactly.
So if what you're doing to him is something you can take, those are the basis that you can start.
Then seek professional counseling.
If you're a kind of woman, if they sue Wale to you, can you take it?
That's why I say don't do unto others what you cannot take.
Yes.
If I've seen too many, I'm going to digress a bit. Too many women who have young house girls, and then they beat them the way they will never beat their children.
Yes. Exactly.
You are doing what you cannot take to another person.
Yes.
Do you understand? So I think that where human beings should first learn is when you are thinking, when you are doing anything you do in life, just think, can I take it? If you know you can't take it, stop it. Because that means it's wrong.
All right, we're going to be wrapping up very soon.
We have to use that one to talk to ourselves first, as humans.
Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up on this. Do you have any more tweets, YK? Let's take a few tweets before we run up so that we get our viewers.
I have a few girls working for me. What I do deliberately is called auntie me this, auntie me that. You know why? So that I don't get carried away that they are less of a human. Because they do things to offend me. When I put them in that place of a human, I know what I'm saying to them. I'm not talking to them in a caustic way. Bilikis Mafe says, I totally agree with Mo. Our folks don't talk. They hold grudges and remain disgruntled. I mentor younger people, and it's one of the major lessons I teach. You must learn to be open about your thoughts and feelings and have conversations and discuss uncomfortable truths. My son will say, Mommy, put your words to it. Use your words. So Daniel, I might be talking.
Daniel says, please, what's the meaning of closure or repentance when someone remains adamant until the most important unifying factor, father, husband, is dead?
Bilikis Mafe says, in relationship.
Let me take that again, because you're right. It happens in polygamous homes a lot. We all just kind of manage each other, pretend about the friendship, assume that we're close. And when that unifying factor dies,
you do the burial.
You do the burial together, and
that's all.
I mean, I don't know who started this madness. No. I don't know where it came from, because when my father's burial, even without us dividing, family members have started coming up, putting it in our ears. This is the final thing. People will be putting it in your ears. After this is, and I'm wondering, where, how?
For me, I think the unifying factor must teach you what unifying factors are. It's beyond the person. And I'm sorry I have to go to the Quran again today. Well, I'm fasting today. So, the third most important value in the Quran for me is that ties of kinship. God says, fear God, worship God. And the next thing he said, your parents, honor them. And then the third thing he said, the ties of kinship, the womb. He emphasized the womb so much that if you look at your quarrels and you look at it you will see that you're just being petty in some of these things, because you cannot atone for breaking that tie.
Right.
So if that tie is beyond you, you would love that your children will do the same. Who would love that? Okay, let's assume that the father is dead now. That amongst your children you now have 3, and that you die, and those 3 don't see eye to eye. Let's not say polygamy now, because it happens between even one parent children.
Absolutely.
That they don't see eye to eye. So that is why you must value that tie, and you must continue to promote it such that your children.
But we hope that this show would rewrite those scripts.
Yeah.
We hope that this show would open eyes.
I know a family friend, a rich man, and he had several wives. And what he did, which was intentional for him, was that, number one, his wives had nothing to do with the development of the children. He didn't need one kobo from you. Whatever money you make is for your personal development. As for my children, their school fees, their clothing, their lesson fees, everything about them. And he put them together. So all the children, they go to school together, to the same school. There's no jealousy of you are going to private, you are going to public. One boss. He got a boss to carry all the children because they all have their quarters in this big compound. Boss carries all of you to school. Lesson teaches all of you at the same time. When you are traveling, all of you are going together. There was that equity. So even when the man died, no mother can start telling the child, because he divided this thing equally. Until today, as I speak to you, they are still unified. There's one family. So the family, the father, the bonding factor have a lot to do.
So there's another message to all the old men. That you have all the agbalagbas, all the grandpas that you like watching our show, and you have many wives. Unify them now before you check out.
He doesn't have many wives, but he has children from different mothers, and all his children are living under his roof. And all of them are growing up together equally. Yes. They have one older brother who is Madi, and then his other adopted children who they all have to look up to, and they all listen to. Those ones can scold them. you know, and that way, when they grow up, they won't
They
be,
are
oh,
one.
you have different mother, different father. But let me just take this tweet.
Yeah.
Some people may tender forgiveness and wouldn't want their offenses to be dug up. So the disclosure might not be balanced.
We have to run. We've run out of time to tell you. So I'm just going to say these few things. What I have learned from this show right now. In a situation like this, you give it time because you can't do what you're not ready for. That time. Secondly, you forgive yourself. When you forgive yourself, then you repent. When you repent, then you then have that healing process. And part of the healing process is having a conversation about it. Bring all the parties together. And there's nothing conversation cannot solve.
Communication.
And that's why I love communication. That's what I love about this show, that we speak.
It's not that
you must speak.
nobody they win argument for conversation. It's not like I'm coming. I must win.
All right, that's all we can take.
Communication is key.
Have a great day. Hope you learned a few things. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Family meeting. So it's not say that I'm